Okay, so I've actually kind of told some of this story before, but I got asked on stream about how I got kicked out of school, and I'm gonna tell you guys that story again. I've told some of the story on my YouTube before, but let's tell like the whole story about again how I got kicked out of school and everything that happened with that when I was younger. So around the time of high school, and then I didn't go to school for very long. Before that, I had been not super smart, but kind of smart, I guess, like an A or a B student or whatever, right? And by the time when I got to like high school, um, I kind of realized I just kind of wanted to be an artist, I guess. I wanted to like draw, and I just had other things on my mind, right? And I started getting in trouble. I wasn't like a super bad kid, but I was like a stoner, and I would skip class a lot. Nothing like, not like a super bad kid, but in terms of like skipping a lot, I guess I was kind of bad. Like I didn't go to school very much. So whatever. And I guess, whatever. I guess my grades had started changing. Um, so what happened was back at school when I went, I have no idea how fucking school is anymore, right? So when I was going to school, there used to be things called like detention. I'm sure detention still exists. I don't know. I'm sure it still exists. And detention is like an hour or a half hour after school. I don't remember, right? And then if you didn't go to detention, you got like a Saturday school, right? And Saturday school obviously fucking sucked because you had to somehow get to school and you stayed at school for like an hour, right? And then after that, if you didn't go to Saturday school, you got like a in-school suspension, right? And in-school suspension though was like really fucking easy, right? Because in-school suspension, you basically just it was still like when you would go to school like a regular day, right? But you just were in like a single class for the whole single day. So anyway, back in the day, there used to be things like not everyone had cell phones, so there used to be they're called answering machines. I don't think they exist anymore. So what would happen is every time I would get in trouble, it'd be like you'd get like a call on your parents' like cell or answering machine to be like, yeah, Clayton was a bad kid again, and he needs attention, so you need to pick him up after school, right? So I wouldn't go to detention. I would go home and I would go erase the message from the answering machine. Then I wouldn't go to that and I'd get in trouble again. They'd be like, Clayton at Saturday school, someone has to bring him to Saturday school. I would go home and I would delete that. And then I would get Saturday school, right? Or delete that. And then I would get in school suspension. And I basically just abused the fuck out of this because then my mom never knew that I got in trouble, because I deleted it all and the in school suspension, you're just in school, right? And this was actually pretty easy because in school suspension, like I still had like my brain still sort of worked, right? So you could just be in a single class for one day and the teachers would just give you your fucking homework, right? Be like, oh, this is all the homework you're gonna have for the day. And the teachers just kind of left you to do what the fuck ever you want to do, right? So, I'd be like, you'd finish everything in just, the first hour of school and you had nothing else to do. So, anyway, at one point I had like 3 weeks of in-school suspension and the school started like catching on that like I abused this like so badly that literally no joke the school literally got rid of in-school suspension for everybody because I started telling people like dude just take the fucking in-school suspension dude, this is so fucking easy. And so then other people were like dude yeah, why the fuck are we doing like Saturday school, this shit is stupid dude, right? So anyway, after if you didn't, so then they got rid of in-school suspension. So then you just started getting suspended. And thankfully, I had one friend that was also, I had one friend that had actually gotten suspended from school for like 2 months or some bullshit. So basically, I would just say that I'm going to school and I would leave the house, and instead of I think my brother would walk to the bus stop, I would basically just walk behind the house and I would go and get McDonald's for breakfast. And me and this friend that were also suspended from school for like 2 months would just like hang out or some bullshit like that, right? Anyway, so anyway, the school was like giving up on me, dude. They're like, this is not gonna work, right? So again, this gets into I made a YouTube video about this. So the school was basically like, okay, something must be wrong with Clayton, and this is adults are they project on children, I guess, right? So they started being like, okay, like so either Clayton is depressed and he wants to kill himself because whatever. I feel like everyone wants to feel like some kid is depressed when they're not, right? Or he's retarded and he needs to be in special ed, which is just so fucking ridiculous, right? I think that was Facebook, but I'll answer that message later. And of course, my mom was all about this because my mom is kind of a shady individual. And so she was like, "Oh my God, Clayton, tell the school you're retarded because then you can get money for being retarded, right?" You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that I'm fucking retarded. That's retarded. That's fucking stupid, right? So anyway, the school was trying to say, "Oh, you must be retarded now, or you must want to kill yourself. So we need to put you in special ed, right?" But the school was like, "Well, geez, how do we get you in special ed because you've been getting good grades? So we need to get you to pass this like special ed exam somehow, right?" So they have you in this exam room. What I did was they had you're in this small room, probably as small as my computer room right here, and there was this like big kind of short fat lady in there, right? Large woman, big boned. And she had like a speech impediment and stuff like that. So I'm sure maybe some psychologically thing, maybe she was slow and she thought that her life goal was now I'm going to help other disabled or slow kids have a better life. Like maybe she thought she was helping the world. I don't fucking know, right? But so anyway, during the exam, I remember vividly, she was like, "Well, Clayton, we got to make sure that you can still speak correctly, right?" And I'm like, "Okay." And she was like, "How do you make friends? How does a person have a lot of friends, right?" And I remember either said something like, either they're very charismatic or they have a lot of charisma. I used one of those words. And she was like, "Oh my God, charisma or charismatic." She's like, whatever word I used. She's like, "That's a big word. Well, you can still speak. I guess you're okay there." And I'm like, "Dude, what the fuck is this? This is so fucking stupid, dude, right?" And then she's like, "Okay." She's like, "Well, geez, you're passing all these tests. We got to find something that you won't pass, right?" So literally, no, this is how fucking stupid this was, dude. She's like, "I want you to make sure that you can still skip." And I was like, "Skip? What do you mean still fucking skip, right?" She's like, "Skip, right?" She's like, "I want you to skip around this room." And like say like skip, right? And I'm like, I know what skipping is, but I'm like, how the fuck do you like skip around this room? Like it's so small. And she's like, "Well, Clayton, I could skip just fine, right?" And so I don't know if it's because she was so large and small, but she didn't need a running head start to skip. So she just kind of like was like teeter tottering and skipping. And I was like, "Well, fuck me, dude. Like I need a running head start to skip, dude, because it's like a fucking groove. You got to get into the motion, right?" So anyway, I didn't pass the skipping test, she said. And she's like, "Well, I guess you're in special ed." And I'm like, Okay. Like, this is so fucking stupid, dude, right?" So they put me in special ed then for a little bit. And special ed was so bad, dude. Like, special ed was like, again, I've told this story before. Basically, the teachers would do the work for you. So, God, I started to get stupid real fast because teachers were doing work for you, and I already was not really studying or doing anything anymore in the first place, right? So, God, I became really stupid really quickly. And what else? They had you were allowed to take timeouts if you're in a bad mood, right? So they're like, if you're ever in a bad mood, you can go to a timeout room. So I was like, a timeout room? Okay, like, dude, like the galaxy brain is working here, dude. And I'm like, timeout. So I just started to tell the teachers, they're like, "Okay, I need like a timeout, dude." So I would go in the timeout room and then I would just fucking leave school. Excuse me. Because that was fucking easy as hell, dude. I was like, "Oh yeah, I need a timeout. I'm in a bad mood, right?" So you just take the time out and then you just like start to skip school. And God, I could tell a weird story. Then I got this girl that used to like stalk me. And later, oh God, should I even tell this story? Because this girl used to be like, "Yeah, Clay, do I want to tell this story?" Anyway, this girl used to, apparently, she used to be next to the room in one of the classes I was in. And she always used to watch when I would skip. And then she would say that she needed a bathroom break. And she's like, "Yeah, Clayton, I knew exactly the route that you used to go to skip school." And because she just met me on the street one day, she's like, "Oh my God, are you Clayton?" And she's like, "Oh my God, I had the biggest crush on you in school." She's like, "I used to follow you to the bathroom. I knew your exact route to like skip school to avoid everybody." But then she started working at Kroger with me, and oh boy, ugh, that's another story, dude. But anyway, went off on a little tangent there, dude. So anyway, I just started skipping school a lot like that, right? So basically, what happened was like, oh my God, it was so bad too. Like I can just tell you, I remember the teachers are like so fucked up, right? Because they want you to be depressed. They have like this agenda to fulfill, right? Because I even remember one day, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's okay if you're retarded. It's okay if you're slow. It's okay. It's okay if you want to kill yourself." And I'm like, "Kill yourself?" I'm like, "Dude, what are you talking about, dude?" And I was a stoner at the time, dude, right? So I remember one day vividly, they're like, "Clayton, we know you're not eating. We know you're getting skinnier." And I'm like, dude, I'm a stoner. I'm like eating McDonald's all the time. I'm eating. Don't worry. They're like, dude, it's okay. Admit that you want to kill yourself. Just admit it. And I remember one day these teachers were going at me so bad. They're like, Clayton, admit it. You want to kill yourself. It's okay. You want to kill yourself. It's okay to feel that way. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. And I like started crying and I like ran away. And like, I'm trying to make the story funny, but it's like a sad story, right? Because it's just like, oh my God, dude. Like, holy crap. They kept telling me I wanted to kill myself and everything like that. And I just started crying. They're like, we knew it. You're crying. You've admitted it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, holy fuck, dude. Like, this is insane, dude. And man, the teachers were just so bad. And eventually, whatever the case, eventually, they're like, yeah, we can't keep Clayton in school. So we are kicking Clayton out of school. And so that's my story of how I got kicked out of school, actually. Kind of anticlimactic, I guess. But the school was basically like, we have no hope for you. Obviously. But yeah, I don't know if that was that interesting of a story, but people get asked that sometimes. So that's what happened. I kind of abused the system, and then I abused the system so badly that they tried to say that I was retarded or I wanted to kill myself and I was depressed. And I don't know if people, like I said, I didn't go to school for very long, dude. So not much to say. I know after that I got that job at Kroger and I got that job as a model. And besides that, I ended up going back to get my GED. And I can even say this, people wonder I have like a chip on my shoulder too, just in general. Besides like the video game community, just in general. I mean, I've told a lot about the weird stories about my life, about when I was unpopular and then to becoming popular. And you see like the different social spectrums of how people like treat you. And I remember even because I remember then, the teachers would see me because I ended up getting that job as a model and like I really was coming into my quotation marks own, I guess. And you see these teachers that were like such a dick to you and they had such an agenda to fill, or, they wanted you to be depressed to like fill this like basically evil agenda, really, dude, right? I mean, maybe it was out of like some good place, but they were such dicks. And then you see these teachers and you become quotation marks, they think you're good looking now. And these same teachers smile at you and they're kind of like flirting with you. And it's just so kind of like fucking disgusting in a way, right? When I think about it now. Like, I mean, just, you see these teachers that just tried to ruin your fucking life, right? They actually like, I remember crying. It's kind of a sad story, actually, if I think about it. But, you know, um, and then they're like nice to you and they're kind of flirty with you. And it's just like, oh my God, it's kind of gross in a way, right? Like I'm not saying like people want to fuck each other. Right? I'm not saying that. Like older people fuck younger people, whatever. I'm not saying anything like that. But in terms of the switch, though, does that make sense? That's the disgusting part about it. But anyway, I remember that. I don't know if people ever want to hear any funny stories about me skipping. I know one time, I can tell you. I know one time people used to laugh about this. I got caught skipping school like right when school started at the very beginning, dude, like the very first half hour. So I had to run to the fucking bathroom and I basically stayed in the bathroom for the entire, I don't remember how long school was. Is school like 6 or 8 hours? And the hall monitors were like, Clayton, we're gonna wait for you till you come out of here. We know you're skipping. And I'm like, no, dude, I got really bad diarrhea, dude. I cannot come out. And they're like, Clayton, you do not have diarrhea. Come out. And I remember so, and I'm like, dude, it's bad diarrhea, dude. And so I remember a couple of girls used to call me after that because I was like yelling from the bathroom about how bad my diarrhea was. And I'm like, serious, don't come in. You don't want to come in, dude. The diarrhea is really bad. And so a couple of girls started calling me Rhea after that because people were just laughing about that. And God, I guess I'm kind of laughing because some of this fun were skip. I remember one time we ran outside and we were getting stoned and we couldn't come back inside because then they would know we were skipping. And I remember at a friend, he was like, he's like, dude, I gotta come inside, dude. It's freezing. I did not bring my whatever, dude. Some of those stories are kind of fun, I guess, but yeah. I don't know. That's there's that we kind of flooded the bathroom one time. Whatever kid stuff, I guess. But yeah, I didn't go to school for very long, but that's how I was actually kicked out of school. And I remember I ended up getting my GED. And God, I even remember that I had that job as a model. How I fucking passed the GED, I don't know. But I remember too. I remember like the teachers were just like, dude, why would you come back? It's like, dude, you don't need this. They're like, dude, just keep doing the modeling thing. They're like, this is fucking useless. And of course, I wish I would have taken the modeling stuff more seriously now. But yeah, keeping my channel active. That's a story I told on stream recently. So thanks.